I like that sound. Hello, my name's Tim Shoebridge. Welcome to this video. That was the sound of the Harmonaig Eurorack module from a small boutique company called Instruo. I hope I pronounced those names properly. Well, it actually wasn't the sound of the Harmonaig. It was the sound of a bunch of Definable modules going through an Erica Synth's FX module, but the Harmonaig was providing the pitch CVs for the chords. So what is the Harmonaig? Well, the Harmonaig is a quantizing chord generating module. There's a very, very good video about it. Instruo have got their own YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to their video below. They've done a very good video about this module. Goes into all the nitty gritty of how it works. But for me personally, even though I watched it a couple of times, I didn't really come out from watching that video with a good understanding of how I could apply the Harmonaig sort of musically to the kinds of music that I like to create. So that's what I want to try and address in this video, is to sort of like go through the process that I've gone through. I've only had the module for about a month, but go through the process that I've gone through myself, learning it and trying to fit it in with other Eurorack modules and create music from it. Now, I'm not into music theory, I'm not into chord progressions, that kind of thing. I'm not into esoteric scaling, so I'm not going to be coming from sort of like a purist background with this, purely from my own limited experience. You know, when I create music, I generally lay my fingers on a keyboard and I play keys until I hear something that I like. I mean, that's just basically how I work. So I'm going to come at this from a really sort of like layman's position and just show you the kind of music that I like to create using this particular module and controlling it from sequences. So that's what's coming up in this video. If that is of interest to you, if that sounds interesting, or if you're interested in this module and you're looking to see how you might want to fit it into your workflow and your sort of composition process, then hopefully this video will be of use to you. That's what's coming up. As always, thank you very, very much for watching. So let's start very simply. An empty Eurorack case. Couldn't get simpler than that, could it? I'm just going to add some modules, just the bare bones, the ones that we need to explore quantization. We'll look at quantization first, and then we'll look at chords second. So this Harmonaig module, it's capable of generating 4-note chords, but for this section, we'll just be listening to one note that it generates from whatever pitch CV we give to it. So what I've added is just an oscillator module. It's actually a quad oscillator module. It's got 4 oscillators in it, but we're just going to be listening to one of them for the time being. So first step in terms of trying out the quantization, I think the easiest way to hear that quantization in action is to hook it up to an LFO. We'll use a triangle wave, and here you can see there's an attenuverter with a wide range for controlling the CV that we pass into it. We can use the little mini keyboard on the Harmonaig to mute any notes that we don't want to play. So here, as you can see, I'm limiting it to the C major scale. Now this works very well, but I'm not sure about the musical applications for it, to be honest with you, because as you can hear there, the notes are not all being played to a consistent tempo. And that kind of makes sense because we're just simply missing some notes out as the triangle wave moves the CV up and down. But I don't know what musical application I'd have for this. I'd want to have some control over the tempo. Okay, so let's leave that LFO behind and just try passing a pitch CV into the Harmonaig from a keyboard. Now, I must admit, it's a bit fiddly to get the pitch CV attenuated accurately so it spans across octaves accurately. You'll see me here mucking about with that attenuverter to try and get it right. It's not actually at maximum, you have to dial it back a bit. It is fiddly, but I did get there eventually doing this. I'd like to think that a digital module like the Harmonaig here, it would be really, really simple to do this, but unfortunately it's not. Now let's try a third approach with quantization. I'm using this 182 sequencer from Behringer. It's a very simple vintage design. There's no built-in quantization with it at all, and personally I find it very fiddly to set the pitches accurately with those little tiny mini pots. But here, as you can see with the Harmonaig, it's a piece of cake. It really is very easy and very fast to dial in the notes that you want for your sequences. Right, so let's move on from quantization to generating some chords with the Harmonaig. Now, the Harmonaig can choose chords for you, or you can choose them for yourself. I'm not going to go with it choosing chords for me. I'm just going to be controlling it myself and choosing the chords that I want. That's what I'm going to concentrate in this video. So to choose chords for yourself, you go into what's called diatonic mode, press that little button there so it lights up, and now I can use the dial to dial in any one of these various chords that are available to me. Now there are some useful chords there, but personally, for me, very, very personally, there are ones there that I wouldn't ever see myself using, to be honest. But thankfully, for me anyway, there are 4 slots available where you can define your own chords, and I'll show you how to do that. Now you can automate this turning of the dial to choose your chord using a CV input, and that is where I really think this Harmonaig shines. So let's try that, and I'm going to use the second sequencer that's on my 182 here. So the first sequence is going to be choosing the root note, and the second sequence is going to be choosing the chord that I want to go against that root note. Right, so I think we've reached the point now where we should really add some more modules and create something a little bit more polished and a little bit more musical. Although 4 notes are playing each time, here I am using a sequential switch, which is basically going to be emphasizing 1 note at a time, because it'll be triggering 1 envelope at a time out of the 4 envelopes that I've got here. It's a bit like playing an arpeggio on a piano, but with the sustain pedal held down. It's that kind of effect. There's a lot more to the Harmonaig than what I've covered here so far. Just looking at the front panel, for example, there are 2 further controls on it for manipulating the chords that it outputs. This first control inverts the chord, and what I mean by that is we start off with the root note being the lowest note, but when I move to the next position on the dial, that root note gets moved to the top, so it's now the highest note. And then at the next section, the next note, which was the lowest, gets moved to the top, etc., etc., etc. And the second control, called voicing, increasingly widens the notes across more than 1 octave range as I turn the dial round. So we hear higher notes and lower notes as that chord gets spread. Now both these controls, the same as the chord selection dial, they can be automated by CV, and I really think this opens up the sort of sonic possibilities of this Harmonaig. It allows you to add some really nice subtle changes to the sound, so you can be playing a chord, you know, more than 1 time, but it'll sound, it's still the same notes, but they're being played in a different order, and you get that nice subtle variety to the sound. I think it's really brilliant. So that's it, that's all I wanted to show you in this video. I've really just scratched the surface with this module. I have to say there's a lot of advanced features that you can get at with sort of like, you know, button press combinations. It can also play chords for you, whereas what I've chosen to do is choose the chords that I want to play. I'm a bit of a control freak, if I'm honest with you. I like to have control over the chords and the notes that are playing. I had a similar kind of issue with the Moog subharmonicon. I don't like the fact that it goes off and comes up with its own stuff. I want to sort of like have a little bit of control over the whole process. And for me, the Harmonaig really allows me to have that control. It's really, really great. You know, I just love the fact that with a simple sequencer like the 182 from Behringer, it's a very, very simple design sequencer. But with that sequencer, I can choose root notes, I can choose chords, and I can put together something that will then work with other sequences that are going on with other modules. It's a loads and loads and loads of fun if you just take the time to get into this module and learn it a bit. It's an expensive module, I have to say. Instruo are a very, very small boutique company. They're not able to produce their modules as cheaply as the bigger manufacturers. So obviously this is a lot of money. You could buy a little synth for the same price as this module. But if you're interested in it, check out used prices. You might find yourself a bargain. That's certainly what I did when I bought this little module about a month or so ago. So that's all I've got this time round. Maybe I'll do another video on it in the future. But it's a fantastic module, loads and loads of fun. Do check it out. I highly recommend it. As always, thank you very, very much for watching.